I'd like to expand on the last video I made, but first let's talk a bit about what I'm working on today. I really like the aesthetic of VHS tapes, and recently I found out how to convert YouTube videos into VHS tapes. I've linked the tutorial video in the description below. I want to make a handful of tapes for a few different YouTube indie animation series to give to the creators at conventions or to get the covers signed. So I'm making VHS tape covers. I found a template online, I took measurements, and began designing them. I'll have to print them on a thick cardstock paper and fold them down with a folding bone to make sure that it's dense like a normal cover and it'll last a decent amount of time. And working on this project will also give me the opportunity to improve on my graphic design skills, on my readability, my formatting, and my presentation. I've also linked those indie series in the description below. Many of them are already insanely popular, and others honestly could use a little bit more love in my opinion. So now that that's covered, let's get into it. So I'd love to talk further about content creation, setting and sticking to schedules, and mitigating environmental distractions. I think there's at least one person watching this video who spends too much time playing video games or scrolling on their phone and not enough time trying to do something new at the risk of embarrassing yourself in the name of self-betterment. I've wasted plenty of my own time on things that didn't really matter or could have been walked away from or paused or looked at later, and the only thing all of those things did was set me back even further than before. Enabling yourself in that way will only cause you problems in the long run. If you want to be a YouTuber or a comic artist, or you want to build a board game, or you want to make a video game, you need to stop dragging your feet, you need to stop wasting your time, and you need to get to it. Someone's gonna assume that I hate video games because I said this. Never extrapolate on what I say. You're allowed to have fun. But if you really want to do this, video games need to be the treat you reward yourself with after you've finished everything else. It should not be your whole day. I'm not talking to people who work an 8 to 10 hour job and then go home and play video games. I'm talking to people who work maybe part-time jobs and then spend a lot of time playing video games, or a lot of time on their phone, or a lot of time just dragging their feet. It's fun to do those things, but if you want to be a content creator, you cannot let yourself do those things before you've actually gotten your work done. It has to be the treat after. I'm sorry. Not everything can be dopamine rush 24/7 all the time. You have to set boundaries with yourself. Yes, there does need to be a balance. You should take breaks. You should spend time with your family and your loved ones. You should enjoy your hobbies and make sure that your needs are met and that the people around you, their needs are met. But baking your brains out in a basement, so to speak, and being an ideas guy isn't gonna get you very far. An idea is the first step, but nobody can see what's going on in your head. You have to put the work into making it tangible. You need to take those first few steps. You know you have the potential to do more and to be more than you currently are, so why are you wasting your time? Let's talk about getting that ball rolling. Let's talk about how to dig yourself out of that hole and into the sunlight. Step, planning phase. We all know what that is. This is the step that everybody gets stuck at. You need to open up a Word document or a LibreOffice document. You need to take out some sticky notes and start bullet pointing your ideas. Whatever your process is, you need to start planning it out. That is the first step. Are you crafting a story? Make a 2-page synopsis of what you want your story to be, beginning to end of the overall plot of your story. You need to know how it ends. Okay? You need to know how it ends. It does not need to be long. You are not writing your full book. You are writing a synopsis of what you want the beginning to be, what you want the main plot to be, some names of the characters, what you want the end goal to be. Maybe some tone indicators, maybe the aesthetic, maybe the writing style. You need to have a synopsis and a game plan. Let's say you're an artist and you're not a writer, but you want to write a comic book, but you can't write for shit. You can't write. You're just an artist. Guess what? Public domain exists. There are so many books that are in the public domain currently that already have pre-established audiences, and some of them don't. Some of them need to have a little bit of light shined on them because they basically got hidden in the cacophony of written works that have existed for time and time again. So pick a book that you like that's in public domain, write a synopsis of that book, boom, you have a comic book idea. Now you get to work on your comic. Want to make a board game? Think about the aesthetic of your board game. What are the rules of your board game? How many cards do you need? Are there cards? Are there dice? Is there a wheel that you spin? What is the main appeal of your board game? Is it more of an improv game? Is it more of a math game? Think about these things, start planning it out, start writing down concepts and ideas that can help you get to where you want to get to. Congrats, you've planned a thing. Guess what? Time to set realistic boundaries with yourself within that thing. Because you and I both know that you've been daydreaming about the project of the century and you want to make it happen. Let me knock you back down to earth real quick. You can either get it done fast or you can get it done right. You cannot do both as an individual on your own. I'm going to use an example. Last video that I made, very similar to this one, I made a little animation for that video. I decided to just have a looping animation. A lot of people would consider that lowbrow or low effort, and I'm here to tell you that if you want to put out a video per week, that's what you have to do. A full animated movie that's an hour and 30 minutes long. How long do you think it takes to produce that movie? It usually takes a full year. It usually takes a full year. And hundreds of people are on staff. In fact, more than that. So if it's live action, you've got hundreds of thousands of people on staff who are the camera workers. You've got your actors, you've got your writers, you've got your producers, you've got your executive producers, you've got your background actors, you've got your Foley technicians who help make sound effects because they weren't recording the actual sound effects in the film, they were inserting them. Did you know that? It's important to me that you know that. Now let's talk about the animation industry. That takes just as much work. There's hundreds of thousands of people on an animation team, believe it or not. There's hundreds of people who are within that company who have their names in the credits as storyboard artists and character designers, concept artists, in-between animators, frame-by-frame animators, stylists, costume designers, all of that. And then there's a separate team that most people don't know about, and this team is offshores and usually in Korea, and they're in a Korean animation studio, and they do the interpolation animation. They do every individual frame by frame animation for anything that's more than 12 frames per second, anything that is 24 to 30 frames per second. Those are the crazy people who are getting that done for you, and a lot of them go uncredited because it's outsourced, which is insane to me. I think that if you outsource to a company, it does not matter what country they're from, you need to get the names of the people who worked on that and you need to credit them because they worked hard. That's what I'm saying, is that these huge projects that are big and beautiful and bombastic have hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people on staff working on it that you don't know about their existence. You don't know them. You don't know what they've done. You don't know what they've contributed, and they've contributed. Meanwhile, you're one person sitting alone in a room with a microphone, and you have to ask yourself, how am I gonna get this done in under a week with the minimal amount of free time that I have? And then you take that into consideration and you do something that's within your means. If I want to make a podcast style video or a lecture style video and I want to get that done in under a week, and I came up with the idea on Wednesday and I have until Friday to get it done, maybe I sit down, write out my script, and then I record my script, and then I get to animating and I ask myself, how do I get this done in as little time as possible? So I put more effort into the colors and I put more effort into the design, and then I just have it be a looping frame animation. Or I could put more effort into the animation, but have it have zero color. And if I've learned one thing about YouTube, for whatever reason, it's that if you have a mid-tone background or just a white flat background, and you've animated it, and it's got movement, and it's got flow, but it has no color, YouTube doesn't want to recommend that to anybody because colors make a brain go burr, and no colors is boring. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned from this experiment, is that motion is one thing, but color seems to be more important algorithmically than motion. Motion is still important, and it still appeals to people, but color before motion seems to work better for whatever reason. I don't know why, it's just what it's determined. What's more, if it's not the main part of the project, then you're going to put less focus into it. So my last video wasn't meant to be an animated project. It was meant to be a lecture. It was meant to be an open format discussion. The animation isn't the main part of the video. The content is the main part of the video. And if you did not find that appealing, maybe my content isn't for you, and that's okay. My target demographic is me. I'm making things that I can be proud of and things that I can be happy with. And in order to do that, I can't continue to let myself be caught up in the perfectionist death clone cycle where nothing meets the standards of some imaginary critic in my head and I never get anything done. In fact, that's exactly what's happened to me over the past course of several years. I had an idea. I wanted to make that idea happen. I kept talking myself out of doing that work because I was like, well, what if people say this? What if people say that? People are going to think this. They're going to misinterpret it and think this. They're going to extrapolate upon what I mean, and they're going to insert their own meaning. And here's the thing. I cannot control the rate at which the author dies. I can only control what I put out. That's all I have control over. I cannot control how you interpret my actions. I can only control my actions. So I'm going to make stuff, and it's gonna be bad, and I have to let myself be okay with that, because if I don't, then I don't make anything. So my other piece of advice is let yourself suck for a little bit, because then you'll learn from your mistakes and you will get better. Learn what elements of design are essential. Learn what elements aren't. Don't get caught up in the details. The process of simplification will help you get further. So learn it, observe it, implement it, and determine what is essential and what is not. Once you've determined what things are essential to your process and what things aren't, time yourself, literally. Figure out how long it takes for you to finish a project and how long it takes you to do specific parts of a project. How long does it take you to write a script? How long does it take you to record audio? How long does it take you to record visuals? How long does it take you to make your thumbnails? How long does it take your PC to render out a video? How long does it take for YouTube to typically upload your video? How long does it take your PC specifically to render out an animation or something fully edited? All of those key factors will help you schedule out your time more efficiently. What's more, you can choose to fully schedule out your day or do it in parts. My method is to break up my day. Here's how much time I spend on my day job. Here's how much time I spend working on freelance work. Here's how much time I spend on this video. Here's a list of normal daily duties that need to be done, like doing the dishes, cleaning my living space, budgeting my money for the week, meal prepping. I'm still working out what schedule best suits me for what I want to do, and sometimes that schedule needs to be adjusted or modified over time to accommodate other people's plans or to accommodate growth and change within your own life, but it's still good to have one. Next, let's talk about weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. Breaking up goals and setting goalposts for yourself helps you keep your eyes on the prize. So, for example, I now have a weekly goal of uploading at least one video, either something more presentation style like this or a short animatic skit. My monthly goal is to have at least 4 or 5 videos uploaded by the end of the month. At least 2 videos need to be lecture style, presentation style, and at least 2 need to be animatics. My quarterly goals are more specific to moderation, related to channel growth and engagement, not just in terms of the numerics, but in terms of quality control and making sure people in the comment section are basically playing nice to a certain degree. I imagine once I've hit a certain baseline, it'll be harder to moderate that sort of thing, but I'm able to keep up with it for now since I'm just starting out. Plus, there's usually only one comment per every 50 to 100 views. I myself am a lurker. I tend not to comment on videos or things very often unless I feel like I am contributing to a conversation. Not everyone thinks this way. In fact, most people don't think before they comment, so I'm pretty liberal with deleting comments that are either harmful, designed to goad out a reaction from either me or the audience, or especially servicing as self-promotion for the person who left the comment, either as a bot or like a genuine content creator, but I'm not gonna let you use my platform for your purposes. That isn't fair to me. So it's up to you how you handle your audience, and that's a bigger topic that I'll dig into deeper next week. But for now, do your best to focus on what your goals are and what you want to accomplish. Now let's talk a little bit about financial investments, because I kind of glossed over it last time. Eventually, you will need to invest in the appropriate equipment and either continue to invest and make upgrades or changes. Starting out, save your spending money from your current jobs or work and set it aside for future investments into that equipment. You can sometimes get away with cheaping out on certain things, but being too cheap will cost you in the long run. I'd go for something that's about mid-grade if you're just starting out, so you don't end up spending a ton of money on something that you could potentially lose your passion for. The PC I'm using is older, but it has decent specs because I bought it used off of somebody who built it custom with video content creation in mind. I also installed a Wi-Fi card and a separate hard drive into the box case so that I'd have a little bit faster internet connection and a little more storage space for the heavier files. I scrapped those pieces from my previous PC. I prefer physical PCs that are stuck to a desk rather than using laptops because you can customize them for one and continue to upgrade them, and for another because by having one strict specific space where your work is locked to, you don't have to take it everywhere you go with you and stress yourself out about work that needs to stay in the office space or nook. Like, you should have a tangible separation between you and your work so you aren't crossing into time spent with loved ones or doing things that you enjoy or things you need to do. The microphone that I use is a Blue Snowball mic. It's very basic. It was around $50 new when I first bought it. It's pretty cheap for a mic that doesn't create its own ambient static background noise. Having a decent audio editor will help too, which was discussed in the previous video if you haven't seen that already. I use a separate earpiece to listen back to the audio. I am warning you right now, do not fall for the siren alert of a headset. It'll pick up every swallow, it'll pick up every breath, it will pick up every single mouth sound that you will make, which will result in even more work required on the editing back end. Plus, if you have a beard, we can hear it scratching against your mic. A separate microphone that's ideally where you can either hold it in your hand or put it on a recording arm will be better so that you can push the mic away from you if you want to talk louder and far away, or hold it closer if you want to speak quieter, or you can really make everybody super uncomfortable. It's just more versatile that way. So again, set aside your spending money, save up for the equipment you want, do some research. Don't just assume that if a YouTuber sponsors something that it's a high quality product. Do real research about the products. And once you have the equipment you want or you need, keep your finger on the pulse of anything new being developed or things you notice other content creators utilizing that you may want to invest in for future reference. I have more time than I originally thought I would, so rather than saving it for next time, let's talk more about audience creation, parasocial relationships, and how to protect yourself and others from harm. I think this goes without saying, but sometimes it does need to be said. Freedom of speech is supposed to protect you from being forcefully silenced by the governing body, and it bars the government from arresting you for calling out public or political figures. It does not stop me from moderating my YouTube comment section. So if you were confused about that, please read a book. I think it would help you. That being said, that's exactly what you should do, and exactly what we're going to talk about. Letting bad faith actors into your community or into your headspace will only service them. It's not going to serve you. Don't let people into arguments with each other. Don't let them onto your platform, because it will discourage other people from interacting with you and wanting to participate in group discussions. Don't let people use your platform as a therapy corner or a venting space unless you are literally equipped as a paraprofessional to engage with those heavier discussions. Because if you try to encourage that sort of thing without knowing how to mitigate the harm and control the direction and flow of the conversation, it could quickly become a way for your audience to commit psychological self-harm or to commit harm to others in your audience. I know you think I'm overthinking this, and I would like to remind you that when I was a project manager for another YouTuber, I also assisted in their fan server on Discord, and it was a nightmare situation. It was a headache, and a lot of the problems that were caused by people, they were caused by those people having differences with each other, direct cause of conflict with personalities and politics, and even conflicting mental illnesses of bipolar and DID and those sorts of things. And when you have people who openly self-identify as being mentally ill, and then you have other people who want to cause harm to those groups of people, and you let them be in the same space, and you're constantly trying to play the fence and be a mitigator and assume the best of everybody in that situation, you're going to cause yourself undue harm. and a lot of psychological stress that's just deeply unnecessary. You are a YouTuber. You are not a therapist. You are not a soapbox for other people to use to put forth their own ideas and their own agendas. You are in charge of what happens on your platforms. You're not just in charge of your content, you're in charge of how people interact with that content to a certain degree. So I don't let people leave comments in my comment section that I know are designed to try and get a reaction out of other people reading the comments, or a reaction out of me, because I don't have time to give you attention. See, I'm not your mother, and I just don't have time for you. So why would I let you take up space in my mind and my audience's mind and do things that are deeply annoying and deeply unwanted? Why would I give you the space? Why would I give you the time? Why would I give you the energy? Ever. I wouldn't. Not if I was smart. If you want to feel like you've won some imaginary battle because I deleted your comment and I don't let you interact, that's great for you. I really don't care, because for you, you're trying to instigate a fight. You're trying to come at me and the people around me, and I'm trying to draw and enjoy myself. And if that triggers you, you should seek help, genuinely. So yes, enforcing some separation between the audience and you, and your audience with itself, is absolutely essential to ensuring that it doesn't end up blowing up in your face. Think of it like this. Let's say that you ran, I don't know, a television show on public access television, and you let people send in emails and ask questions. Are you gonna air the emails that cuss a bunch, or like insult your mother, or insult you? Or are you going to acknowledge the emails that, I don't know, are from fans or young children asking big questions, or from people contributing positively to a conversation? You're gonna read the emails that make sense to read, that contribute to the content that you're creating. You're not gonna read the emails that don't contribute to the conversation. So with that in mind, apply that to YouTube. Just because it's normal to let people kind of run rampant on your public, places, doesn't mean that they're entitled to that. You don't have to let them have that. I don't think you should either. The topic of Discord fan servers, it's ultimately up to you. My experience with them has personally been not good. The only good ones I have been in have actually been paywalled on Patreon or similar services. Because of that paywall, people are able to interact with one another knowing that everybody there wants to be there, and that everybody there actually enjoys the content, that there's not trolls in your Discord server. It's just a very simple way to ensure that nobody is there who doesn't want to be there. And it's also a way to make sure that there aren't minors in your Discord server. And I know that's another thing that people would probably disagree with me on, but I'm being genuine. Like, if you are going to have a Discord fan server or a Discord server to interact with people in your community, I do think that you need to have some sort of vetting, because at the end of the day, you are not trained on how to interact with and handle and babysit children. You are not trained at all for that sort of thing. I'm a little bit trained on it, not a lot, and I still don't want to do it. I don't want to have to run a server where I have somebody on one side of the planet who's potentially a 12-year-old and another person on the other side of the planet who's potentially a groomer, and having to mitigate that. I cannot be responsible for that. You should not make yourself responsible for that. So I'm of the opinion that if you are going to have a fan server, it should be paywalled and it should be age restricted. And it should just be that. I think a majority of the channels should not be channels where people can interact with one another. They should just be update channels for the content that you're making, or channels to post polls for people to vote on things. I think that's excellent. That's fine. I don't think that you should have a public space where everyone can talk to each other all the time. I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it's good for the person running it and for their moderators, who are usually unpaid, by the way. I know that Discord is kind of like a gamer thing, and so being a Discord mod is like, I genuinely think that mods should be paid. The amount of work that they are doing to try and make sure that people are not trying to chew each other's vocal cords out is a lot of work. So I'm of the opinion that yes, fan servers should be paywalled, they should be age restricted. If you have content that is specifically for children, you should not have a fan server at all. You should just be uploading to YouTube on your child-friendly YouTube channel where people cannot comment. You should not have any space where you're interacting with them directly unless it's very public, like conventions where their parents can come and also be involved. And I mean that genuinely, because there's a lot of, like you should not be in that situation ever. That's my genuine opinion. Like, the horror stories that I could tell of, like, obsessive fans going into that YouTuber's server and, like, posting not safe for work fan art of them, or going into a voice chat and harassing them or harassing other people in the voice chat. Like, I tried to set up normal group activities of, like, watching movies just over Discord or playing Gartic-Phone over Discord, and people always found a way to just make it uncomfortable and unfun for everyone involved. So I don't really have a lot of patience for people like that anymore, and I don't have a lot of patience for even just the idea of hosting a platform where people like that could potentially insert themselves. It is a waste of time, a waste of energy. I would not recommend doing it, but other people may disagree with me on that. So ultimately, it's up to you. There's already a ton of videos out there about parasocial relationships that could explain it better than I could, because I'm not a psychologist. So instead, I'm just gonna link you to one and you can watch it, but I will keep it a little succinct. The parasocial relationship is a relationship between an audience and a creator or a public figure or a politician or a religious leader or a god or a concept. My laundry just went off. Anyways, the parasocial relationship is the relationship of the audience to that entity, because the entity does not have a relationship with the audience. Almost ever. Sometimes there's more often a relationship now with public venues like YouTube, where you can create and post your own content for other people to see. So there's a lot more interaction there. But at the end of the day, you do not know your audience. As a content creator, you just do not know your audience, but your audience knows quite a bit about you, whether or not you're even aware of it. Some of them are aware of the stuff that you put out there on public platforms. Some of them dig deeper than that, and it can get scary. It's crazy how much people can find out about you if they just try. So it's important to keep in mind the distance you need to keep between yourself and your audience for safety reasons. If you can afford it, I do recommend getting a VPN for when you're uploading to certain areas. If it can be helped, I would recommend moving possibly to a creator house if it's something that you can afford. Because by living with other content creators, not only can you all create content together, but it's also a safety net, because there's more than just you alone in a house. So if something happens, there's other people there. You have contacts. If you're going to travel, you give them your location and share it with your roommate, something like that. Just little safety precautions, even if you're like, well, I've just barely started uploading and it's only my family members who watch my videos. I don't care. Do what you can to stay safe, okay? Keep your phone on you at all times. If you're going anywhere, take somebody with you, or let somebody know where you're going and when you plan on getting back. It's just very basic safety. If you interact with a fan in person, I'm gonna be honest, I have a hard time imagining myself in that situation and how I'd handle that, and how other people would handle that. I think it's important to be kind and courteous, but to set a boundary. Like, for example, you're going grocery shopping and you run into somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, I love your work, I love you so much, can I get an autograph, whatever. It's up to you how you decide to handle that situation. Personally, the way that I would handle that situation is being like, oh, I appreciate that you like my content, thank you so much. I'm in the middle of this right now and I have to go and do that right now. But I can give you my autograph real quick, or do you want to take a selfie real quick? Something like that, and just keep it short and sweet, and wish them a good day, and the conversation, do your best to try to, in a sense, keep the line moving and get to where you need to go. That would be my advice. So, we're at about the 30-minute mark now. I hope that you can take something from this and implement it into your own workflow. I hope that if you have projects on the back burner that have been sitting in your head for forever, that you get yourself off of the couch and that you get that project done. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that the sun is shining for you. I hope that your water is in your fields. I still don't know how to do outros. I don't think I ever will. Sorry. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.